7 car brands are collapsing in 2026, and here's exactly why you should avoid them. That's the honest truth I want to lay out for you today, brand by brand, so you don't sink your hard-earned money into a badge that won't be standing a few years from now. I've watched companies come and go my whole life, and I can tell you the warning signs are always the same. Sales cave in, the good models get axed, the showrooms empty out, and the folks who bought in right before the fall are the ones left holding a truck nobody wants and a warranty nobody's around to honor. Now, I'm not here to bury anybody for sport. Some of these brands built machines I love. Some of them still make a decent looking car. But a good looking car and a company that'll still be around to fix it are two very different things, and I've learned the hard way that you buy the second one, not the first. When a maker starts to slide, everything you count on slides with it. Resale value drops through the floor. Dealer networks shrink until the nearest service bay is 100 miles off. Parts get scarce and pricey, and that fancy bumper-to-bumper coverage isn't worth the paper it's printed on if there's no company left to stand behind it. So let's go through them one at a time, counting down from number 7 all the way to number 1, and I'll tell you what the dealers and the manufacturers sure won't. I'll give you the sales numbers, the recalls, the canceled models, and the boardroom messes, and I'll tell you plainly what each one means for a regular buyer trying to make a smart decision. Grab a coffee, this one's worth your time. I'm Earl, and I've been obsessed with cars and tinkering the better part of my life, so if that's your kind of talk, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Now let's start the countdown with a brand that looked like a winner on paper, but forgot that luxury buyers don't shop with their heads. Number 7, Genesis. This is Hyundai's luxury division, and I want to be fair, because on paper Genesis did everything right. Stunning styling, genuinely handsome cars, interiors that shame rivals costing far more, and a price tag thousands of dollars below a comparable BMW, Mercedes, or Lexus. If a car were nothing but metal and value, Genesis would be running away with the market. But here's the thing about the luxury game. People buying a badge like that aren't shopping for value. They're shopping for status. They want the neighbor to see that 3-pointed star or that blue and white roundel in the driveway. And the moment somebody asks, isn't that just a Hyundai, the whole thing falls apart. That one question has been a brand killer since day one, and Genesis has never found an answer for it. Look at the numbers, and it's plain. Genesis moved somewhere around 75,000 units in the States last year. Sounds fine until you set it beside BMW at 371,000, Lexus at 346,000, and Mercedes at 324,000. That's not a rival, that's a rounding error next to the big boys. And a luxury brand that can't build volume, can't build the dealer network, the service infrastructure, or the resale confidence that makes luxury ownership worth the premium. Then come the recalls, and these matter because reliability is the one card Genesis had to play. Back in 2022, there were recalls for fuel pump failures that could cause the engine to stall out while you're driving. Stalling in traffic isn't a small thing. A luxury buyer paying premium money expects the car to just work every single time. And a stall in the fast lane is the kind of story that spreads at every country club and every office water cooler. Then the electric models, the G80 EV and the GV60, got pulled back for a sudden loss of power. Nothing sinks a young luxury brand faster than the word getting around that the thing might shut off on the highway. Reputation is the whole ballgame in the premium world, and once it cracks, no discount on the sticker can glue it back together. On top of that, the tariffs pushed prices up on imported parts, and that cut straight against the one promise Genesis was built on, which was giving you more for less. Now they've axed the electric G80 entirely, and word is the G70 sedan and the electric GV70 are next on the chopping block. That's a brand contracting, not growing, and when a lineup shrinks like that, resale value on the cars already out there takes the hit. Buy one today, and you're betting on a division that's pulling back, not pushing forward. That's why Genesis lands at number 7. Number 6, Mitsubishi. Now this one hurts me, because Mitsubishi used to be a legend. I'm talking about the Lancer Evolution, a rally-bred rocket that could embarrass cars costing twice as much. The Eclipse that every kid taped to his wall. The Montero that would climb anything you pointed it at. This was a rally champion, a company with real fire in its belly. And look at it now. In 2002, Mitsubishi sold nearly 345,000 vehicles in the States. By 2024, that number had crumbled to about 86,000. That is not a slump. That is a collapse, plain and simple. A brand that's lost 3 out of every 4 buyers it once had. And it got worse in 2025. The tariffs froze deliveries right in the middle of shipment. Thousands of vehicles sat stranded at the ports, and the company was forced into price hikes on what was supposed to be an affordable, budget-friendly brand. When your whole pitch is being the cheap, dependable choice, and then you can't deliver the cars and you have to raise the price, you've got nothing left to sell. The lineup itself tells the story. It's been gutted down to a thin row of crossovers. No performance cars, no Evo, no Eclipse with any real spirit. Just forgettable little utility boxes fighting for scraps. And the trust is gone too, for good reason. Back in 2000, Mitsubishi got caught covering up mechanical defects from the regulators, hiding problems instead of fixing them. Then in 2016, they were caught falsifying fuel economy numbers on more than 625,000 vehicles. That triggered police raids, executive resignations, and the company's market value got cut in half. It got so bad that Nissan had to step in and buy a controlling stake just to keep the lights on. And owners today report the wear and tear you'd expect from a company running on fumes. CVT transmission failures, suspension problems, engine stalling, electrical faults. Resale is poor, and it's poor for a reason. When you buy a Mitsubishi now, you're buying into a shrinking brand propped up by a parent that's got serious troubles of its own, which we'll get to. That's number 6. Number 5, Chrysler. This one's a genuine tragedy of American history. Chrysler built the first production Hemi engine. Chrysler invented the minivan and owned that market for years. This was a pillar of Detroit, and today it's a shell. Back in 2005, Chrysler sold over 640,000 vehicles in the States. By 2024, it was under 125,000, an 80% collapse, and 2025 is tracking even lower than that. 80%. You don't come back easy from a fall like that. Walk through what's actually left, and it's grim. The Chrysler 300, that big rear-drive sedan with real presence, discontinued back in 2023. The Voyager is mostly a fleet vehicle now, the kind of thing you rent at the airport, not something a proud owner picks out. And the Pacifica, which is a decent minivan, dropped another 11% in 2024 and keeps getting outclassed by the Honda Odyssey, the Kia Carnival, and the Toyota Sienna. The Airflow, which was supposed to be Chrysler's big electric future, got canceled mid-development. So you've got a brand with basically 2 vehicles left and no clear plan for what comes next. And here's the part that should worry any buyer. The former head of Stellantis, the giant conglomerate that owns Chrysler, a man named Carlos Tavares, openly warned that several of the group's brands could disappear entirely by 2026. When the boss himself is saying out loud that brands under his roof might not survive, you'd best listen. Think about how far this brand has fallen. Chrysler once had a full showroom, sedans, coupes, minivans, big and small, something for everybody. Now it's down to a single minivan and a fleet special. A brand that once helped define the American road has been whittled down to almost nothing, and there's no fresh product in the pipeline that I can point to and say, that's the one that saves them. Because when a maker actually disappears, the damage to owners is brutal. Resale value craters overnight because nobody wants an orphan. The dealer network shrinks fast, so getting service becomes a chore, and parts and repairs get scarce and expensive as the supply chain dries up. A Chrysler today is a bet that a warned about brand beats the odds, and I wouldn't make that bet with my money. Number 5. Number 4, Infiniti. This is Nissan's luxury division, and once upon a time it actually meant something. Infiniti sold itself as the driver's luxury brand, the one for folks who wanted a little more soul in their premium car. The G35 was a genuine sports sedan that gave the Germans a real fight. The FX was a bold, muscular crossover before crossovers were everywhere. The QX80 was a big, imposing land yacht with presence. There was an identity there, a reason to choose it. In 2017, Infiniti sold about 153,000 vehicles in the States. By 2024, that was down to just 58,000. More than half the business gone in 7 years. And the reason is simple. Infiniti abandoned its own identity. It stopped building the sharp, driver-focused cars that made its name and started chasing generic luxury crossovers that looked like everybody else's. It became forgettable, and forgettable is a death sentence in a market this crowded. The standalone showrooms, the dedicated Infiniti stores, a lot of them shut down and got absorbed right back into Nissan dealerships, which tells you everything about how much faith the parent company has left in the brand. The lineup's been hollowed out too. The QX50 and QX55 both ended in 2025. The Q50 sedan, the descendant of that great G35, is gone. All that's left is the QX60 and the QX80. Two vehicles, and the ownership experience hasn't helped. Infiniti shares a lot of hardware with Nissan, and that means the same headaches. CVT transmission problems, a string of recalls, engine failures, sudden power loss, airbag defects, faulty brake calipers. That's not the record of a thriving premium brand. That's a division running down. Resale is falling right along with the sales, and when you buy an Infiniti now, you're buying a luxury badge that its own parent is folding back into the mainstream. The premium promise is hollow. That puts Infiniti at number 4. Number 3, Jaguar. Oh, this one stings because Jaguar is 90 years of history, the leaping cat on the hood. The F-Type, one of the prettiest sports cars of the last 20 years. The XF, a proper executive sedan with real grace. This was a brand with romance in it. And in 2024, Jaguar pulled nearly its entire lineup out of major markets. The XE gone, the XF gone, the F-Type gone, the electric I-Pace gone, the E-Pace gone, and that includes right here in the United States. What did they leave on sale? The F-Pace crossover, and that's about it. They gutted a 90-year lineup down to almost nothing. The plan, as they tell it, is to go fully electric and reinvent Jaguar as some ultra-premium, high-fashion brand. And the way they announced it was one of the great blunders I've ever seen in this business. They scrapped that famous leaping cat logo for a bland, generic wordmark. They ran an advertisement with no cars in it at all, just models and strange costumes, and the whole world laughed at it. The company got mocked from every corner of the globe. Then the CEO stepped down and dealers started closing up. And here's the kicker. The new electric cars aren't supposed to arrive until 2026 at the earliest, so in the meantime you've got dealers standing in empty showrooms with almost nothing to sell. Imagine running a car store with no cars. And the reliability record was never Jaguar's strong suit to begin with. RepairPal ranks Jaguar 29th out of 32 brands for reliability. That's near the very bottom. Resale value is in Freefall, and honestly the survival of the whole company now depends on Land Rover, the sister brand, carrying it on its back. That's a mighty thin thread to hang 90 years of history on. For a buyer, Jaguar right now is about the riskiest badge on the lot. You'd be buying into a brand mid-reinvention with no fresh product, closing dealers, and resale falling off a cliff. That's why Jaguar sits at number 3. Number 2, Dodge. Now some of you are going to be sore at me for this one because I love a Dodge as much as anybody, but loving a brand and trusting it with your money are two separate things, and Dodge has walked itself into real trouble. For years, Dodge was the muscle brand, the last honest holdout building big American V8 machines with the legendary Hemi under the hood. The Charger and the Challenger with that thundering engine were the whole personality of the brand. That was the soul of it, and they gutted it. They killed off the Hemi-powered Charger and Challenger and bet the farm on an all-electric Charger Daytona instead. And that bet has gone badly. The electric Charger Daytona has struggled hard on sales, and it's not difficult to see why. The muscle car faithful, the very people who kept Dodge alive through thin years, didn't want a heavy, expensive electric car pretending to be a muscle car with fake engine sounds piped through speakers. They wanted the real thing, the rumble and the fuel and the fury, and Dodge took it away. You can't fake a Hemi. That deep, chesty V8 rumble was half the reason folks bought these cars in the first place, and a speaker playing a recording of it just insults the very people you're trying to sell to. A muscle car man knows the difference the second he turns the key, and he votes with his wallet by walking right past it. So the brand alienated its own loyal base and got very little in return. Dealers are sitting on electric Chargers that aren't moving, and there's a gas version trying to fill the gap that hasn't set the world on fire either. And Dodge is under that same Stellantis roof as Chrysler, the same conglomerate whose own former boss warned that group brands could vanish by 2026. When your corporate parent is squeezing costs across the board and openly talking about which badges live and which die, a brand that just torched its core identity is standing on thin ice. For a buyer, that means real risk. Resale on these electric Chargers is already shaky because demand is soft, And a brand this uncertain about what it even is makes for a nervous long-term bet. Warranty support and parts down the road depend on Stellantis staying committed, and that's no sure thing. I hate to say it about a brand I've got a soft spot for, but Dodge earns number 2. Number 1, Nissan, and this is the big one because Nissan isn't some boutique badge. This is a 90-year global powerhouse. The GTR, a genuine supercar killer. The Frontier, the Armada, the Altima, cars that sold by the millions. And that's exactly why its trouble is so alarming. In 2024, Nissan sold over 865,000 vehicles in the United States, a huge number, and yet the company still posted a loss of $4.5 billion. Operating profit fell by around 90% year over year, 90%. And globally, sales have slid from 5.8 million vehicles back in 2017 down to 3.3 million in 2024. That's a giant shrinking right in front of us. And the company's response tells you how deep the trouble runs. Nissan laid off around 20,000 workers. It shut plants. It slashed its production capacity. It canceled the Aria electric crossover and 2 more electric projects that were planned for the States. The Maxima, that flagship sedan, got axed in 2023, and the Altima is on its way out too. This is a company cutting to the bone just to survive, and when a maker's in that mode, new product and long-term support are the first things to suffer. And think about what canceling the Aria and those other electric projects really means. That's the future getting shelved because there's no cash to build it. When a company that size stops investing in what comes next, it's not planning to win, it's just trying to survive the year. The Maxima and the Altima leaving is the same signal. Those were bread and butter cars, the kind that brought folks into the showroom for decades, and letting them die tells you the cupboard is getting bare. The boardroom history is a soap opera on its own. Back in 2018, the chairman, Carlos Ghosn, got arrested for financial crimes, then made that wild escape hidden in a box. After that came emissions and fuel economy troubles. Then in 2024, a merger with Honda that might have steadied the ship collapsed when Honda demanded to be in control and Nissan wouldn't have it. And internal sources have reportedly said the company has somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 14 months to lock down a major alliance or partner, or it could be in real existential danger. A 12 to 14-month clock on a 90-year-old giant. Think about that. So what does all this mean for you, the everyday buyer? It means weaker warranty support because a company bleeding cash cuts costs everywhere, and the service counter is no exception. It means a contracting dealer network so the place you bought it might not be there when you need it. It means dropping parts availability as the supply chain tightens. And it means cratering resale value because the market can read a balance sheet just as well as I can, and nobody pays top dollar for a car from a company on a countdown clock. That's why Nissan, as big and as storied as it is, sits at number 1 on this list. So there's your 7. Genesis, a value brand the status crowd won't buy. Mitsubishi, a fallen legend down to a row of crossovers. Chrysler, an 80% collapse its own parent warned about. Infiniti, a luxury badge folded back into Nissan. Jaguar, 90 years gutted for an ad with no cars. Dodge, a muscle brand that killed its own muscle. And Nissan, a global giant on a countdown clock. Every one of them tells the same story in the end, and it's a story about what happens to your money when the company behind the badge starts to fall. Here's my straight advice, the kind the dealers won't give you. Before you sign anything, look past the shiny paint and the discount and ask the hard questions. Is this company making money or losing it? Is the lineup growing or getting cut down? Are the dealers opening or closing? Will there be a parts counter in a service bay near you in 10 years? Because the old iron I grew up on was built to last, and a lot of the new stuff is locked down, computerized, and disposable. You want the truck and the brand that'll still be standing when the warranty runs out, not the one that's already halfway to the grave. Buy the company that stands behind its iron, and you'll never lose sleep over resale, parts, or service. A car is a big chunk of money for most working folks, and you deserve to know the whole story before you hand it over, not just the pretty part the salesman wants you to see. If this straight talk was worth your while, do me a favor and let me know down in the comments which brand surprised you the most, and tell me the one you think belongs on next year's list. I read every one of them. Take care of your machines, drive safe, and I'll see you on the next one.